Good. Good day, good afternoon, good morning. How are you? I hope you're well. My name is Ronald Arceo, and thank you for watching this video. This has been a really interesting class for me. I really enjoyed it because of the fact that I got a chance to do and research on things that I really love, which is food and the ingredients of food. And this whole class has been a restructuring of my mind, so to speak, to not only look at food and just as an energy source or something for ourselves, but really something that has more meaning. And so I want to thank the professor for it. It's been a great year so far, great semester so far. So thank you, professor. This video is going to be about how to not only learn a little bit about Mexican food, but how to cook some Mexican food, and at the same time, maybe look at food as a way of us as humans being able to understand each other, right? And I'll show you what I got. This, hopefully you can see it. If not, I'll show you. I'll cut to some more things. But this is a tamale, or in ancient language, tamale with two L's, or tamal, right? So this is that, but this is in a banana leaf, and usually they come in corn husk. And we'll go through that in the video. I'm going to go cut through it, but I want you to see this actually was made, and I'm actually eating it. And it's really good. I mean, I don't know how to say that about my own cooking, because that sounds kind of weird. But a little bit about the history. So, you know, my mom's coworker came home one day a long time ago, and she said they had brought tamales to work, and they had brought her tamales to bring home. And she had brought some over to us, and I kid you not, it was my first time having like homemade tamales. It was one of the best meals, it felt filling, that I ever had, and it always brought back this memory whenever I would go eat some tamales. And I would go through these little bouts, right? Like, where do I get tamales? I never knew. And only until really recently, where I really got into it, I got a chance to dig into the history of the tamale. And that really begins with the history of the tortilla. So I really want to focus today on a few key things that make the cooking foundational, not only to Mexican food, but for us to understand each other, right? Because cooking is connection, and connection is universal. And I want to maybe highlight some things that maybe you haven't noticed, or maybe other people haven't noticed, that we can bring forth into our conscious awareness, and maybe really start understanding other cultures that may not necessarily be the same as ours, and start appreciating them, right? So the tortilla. I don't have tortillas, but you know what a tortilla is, and you've seen it. It's made out of masa harina, which is basically corn flour, and lard, depending where you go and how you're going to use it, depending on region. They use different type of mantequillas, which is basically your butter, fat type of oil thing. And they got in a comal, which is basically a clay or a flat heated on the fire usually, and they just put the tortillas on there. Anyway, so the quick history to that is really, really interesting, because about 3,000 BC, I believe. 3,000 BC. I'll put the quote up in here, so I'm just doing this. You'll see it verbatim on the screen. Sometime about 3,000 BC, people of the Sierra Madre Mountains in Mexico had hybridized wild grasses in an attempt to produce large, nutritious kernels we know today as corn. And the interesting about that is it was in the culture itself. So when, after Columbus came and discovered pretty much everywhere, or wherever you're reading, however that worked out, on some level, the corn survived. Now, keep that in mind. The corn survived to not only make tortillas, which is a cultural tradition that we actually accept today in America, when it wasn't really accepted before, because in some of the books that I'm going to post over here, you can see it, that back in the day, they were just basically touristing. And here's the quote. I'm not going to go verbatim again, but here's the quote. You can read it. We basically were tourist attractions. When I say we, I would say the people that were in the minority. And things of those cultures, of those foods, were exoticized, right? So they would call in San Antonio, they would call female chili vendors chili queens. Whether that was derogatory or not during that time, I don't know. But obviously, in today's world, there's certain things that, you know, the meaning of it makes a difference, right? We wouldn't necessarily use those types of things in the future. So with that being said, the tortilla has made its way, not only because it's a tortilla, and tortilla has actually, if you go further back, in other research, further back, it goes all the way down to the east, to the Middle East. I think shawarmas and things of that nature. So the things that we appreciate today really has come through because of its simplicity, right? Simplicity is key, and that's how you make a tortilla. Corn flour, lard, right? Bop. Put together, put some heat, you got a wrap, or a taco, or many other things. Now, here's what's the difference. The corn. The corn is what makes the tortilla the tortilla. The corn is what, there's so many different indigenous species of corn in the America, which is native to America. And because of that, they've been able to utilize the corn in so many different ways, and we take it for granted today. So, for example, the very popular Jalisco, Western Mexico stew dish, birria, we've actually used it in the dish with chicken. I'll show it to you again. Here's the chicken. We got chicken, sour cream, and see, this was stewed in a bunch of spices. You'll see it. You can see me making it right now. This is stewed, and traditionally it's just stewed on the ground. And if you think about it, the reason this gets me so fired up is because I grew up in Hawaii, and they would cook things underground. I had a chance to butcher a pig as a kid, so I fully respect animals. As a non-vegetarian, I should say that, just in case. And at the same time, it got me to respect food and how it's made, how it's brought to the table. Tamale is no different. Birria is no different. Tortilla is no different. So what I want to highlight is that the birria is just basically a stewed meat. You can see it. This is how it's made. We stew it. We put a bunch of spices. That's basically a stew. We took that out, shredded it, and guess what? Like I said, cooking is connection, and connection is universal. So tamales came out after that, right? So corn, beginning the crop, according to research, by the time the Spaniards on the shores reached the shores of what is now Mexico in the 1400s, indigenous Mesoamericans had a sophisticated and flavorful cuisine based on native fruits, game, cultivated beans, and corn, and domesticated turkeys. Now, what does this all mean? That means the word tamal comes from an ancient language, and I hope I say this, nahuatl, word for tamale with two L's, and it refers to the corn cake, right? Steamed, individually wrapped in, guess it, banana leaves. Now, according to some of the research in some of the books, it says that the differences between banana leaves and corn husks, it just evolved over time. So with all that, the steaming, the cooking underground, the being able to create food that passes through generations. I want to reiterate, it passes through generations, and it can be simple, and it can be easy, and it can be used again and again, like the corn or the tortilla. Also, a key aspect is salsas and certain type of accoutrements, so to speak, in their cuisine. In the Mexican cuisine, like salsas, for example. Salsas is a great way, and you can see how we're making it right here. Salsa is a great way for the heritage for cookery, because it shows centuries of tradition in a very simple way. And like I said, cooking is connection, and connection is very universal. Like I said, we don't call people chili queens today. We respect the people that make the food today. And that is an amazing, lasting change through food, through cooking, that we as people can probably find an opening somewhere to see how much that has affected our community today, and how much we could build on from that, because we eat each other's foods. We know there's connection within each other's, there's cooking is connection, and connection is universal. So with all that, I want to introduce just a little bit of these foods to show you that the common cooking techniques that we use today have been going on forever, and that no matter what gender, race, or where you're up, where you came from, whatever, it's important that to remember that cooking is that connection to this world, and that if we were able to connect with our cooking, we can connect to other people, and if we connect to other people, we can bring our own recipes to the table and finally eat. Talk to you guys later. Adios. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye.